With about 12,000 hectares of vineyards, Canada does have a dynamic wine industry. And of those 12,000, nearly half, 5,900, are in the province of Ontario. It's home to Toronto, one of the world's great cities. It extends all the way down to the Great Lakes and then goes as far north as the Hudson Bay. Of those 5,900 hectares of vineyards, 5,200 of those are in the Niagara region. You might think that Canada's too cold to ripen wine grapes. However, Niagara is on the same latitude as the Languedoc and Chianti. However, because of different factors, it is a little more frigid, obviously, but it lies in between two large bodies of water, Lake Erie to the south and Lake Ontario to the north. That mitigates the temperature. Niagara produces 90% of Canada's ice wine, which makes it the largest ice wine region in the world. However, there are a lot of dry table wines being made there. I was skeptical at first until I started tasting some wonderful wines. And then when I was at the Wine Spectator New York experience last year, one of my favorite wines was a Niskellen ice wine. They sent me over some samples and did a masterclass on Niagara. What happens is Niagara actually has a little escarpment that's just south of the shores of the lake. It goes up to about 300 feet, 100 meters. It's a multi-step bench, so it looks like this. There are stellar vineyards on that bench. It also keeps the fairly warm air circulating coming off Lake Ontario, and that's why they can ripen grapes. The leading Vitis vinifera red grapes that are planted there are Cabernet Franc, Pinot Noir, Gamay, and then Baco Noir, which is a hybrid. For whites, Chardonnay, Riesling, and Pinot Gris dominate. After I did that virtual masterclass with Enniskillen, I thought, you know what? I need to go over there and take a look. It's only a 4-hour drive from where I live, but most of them are sold within Canada, so it makes it kind of exotic, something that I really love. It's a really weird region because it's beautiful, but yet it's not beautiful. Lake Ontario is gorgeous. You can see Toronto's skyline across the lake. However, because of urban planning and a lot of industry, it's just really weird. The vineyards are planted within factories, strip malls, and within residential neighborhoods, except when you go up to the bench, that's when it looks more like a traditional wine region. However, the majority of grapes are grown on the shore of the lake. Of all the wines I tasted there, I was more fascinated with Pinot Noir. I thought all producers, regardless of where their quality level was, their Pinot Noirs were pretty darn good to exceptional, and that's the impetus of this video. I have 8 different Canadian Pinot Noirs here, mixed in with a fantastic Burgundy house. Not an expensive Burgundy, something that's about 40 bucks, but from the 2022 vintage, which I think is stellar. I've been loading up every week, every 2 weeks, and buying a few bottles of 2022 Burgundy because 23 is not as good and 24 was a really tough year in the region. You'll see a couple other Canadian wines in upcoming videos. There were a few stellar producers. I was only there for 2 days. My schedule was packed. I was tasting a lot. I was really amazed because, first of all, Canadians are super lovely, super friendly. I think it's illegal for them to be mean. There were some excellent wines being made. There were a few standout producers that I visited. A lot of people that know Canadian wines that follow me, they backed me up when I was posting on Instagram, said, yes, you're going to the right spots. The modern Canadian wine industry started happening in the 70s when Enniskillen and Cave Springs started planting Vitis vinifera. And I have to say this, it reminds me a lot of these emerging regions in Eastern Europe where the quality is good, pretty darn good, but you can see when producers have the great vintage and they make these special off one vintage bottlings or these high-end reserve bottlings, they're really good, but yet in comparison to maybe some great regions of France, Italy, Spain, that would kind of be like the entry-level wine for a lot of great producers. However, I do think that there's a lot of potential to be had there. I am really impressed, especially when comparing to the Michigan wines that I taste. I want to thank Wines of Ontario. This video is not sponsored at all, but they did get me a hotel room. They did help organize the visits to producers. I'm excited for this tasting because I was really excited about some of these Pinot Noirs, and I want to see how they do blind. Let's get tasting. Tasting out of a new glass, this is the Amelie Elegance by Grassel, a high-end Swiss brand. However, Amelie is made in Asia, so they're a little more affordable. What I like about this glass is a burgundy-shaped glass, but the trend of huge burgundy glasses, it can be tough to actually taste in because you're not pouring a ton of wine in the glass. I like this as like a hand-blown, really light, like lighter than Zalto type of glass. Yeah, it's a little bit smaller, so when I'm doing my tastings, there's more wine to glass surface area. I really like these glasses. I've drank a few Pinot Noirs out of this, so I'm excited to use it. Let's get tasting. I think you gotta take the glasses off too because I don't taste so well with glasses. Here we go. Wine number 1. Wine 1. Considerably darker in color. Let's give this a smell here. Really good start. Deep cherry, strawberry, earthy notes, white pepper. What I liked about the Canadian Pinot Noirs, there were some excellent producers that actually owned estates or worked even in Burgundy and in Oregon before. They were not Californian in style. They were not Oregon. They were not Burgundy. It was kind of somewhere in between all that, depending on the producer. Deep cherry, strawberry, white pepper. This right off the bat is super complex. I like this a lot to start. Earthy side, high acidity, maybe doesn't have the power on the back end. If you're expecting something like from California, these are leaner wines. A lot of the Pinots I saw there, even the top end stuff coming in at 12 and a half, 13 degrees of alcohol. For a start, that's very good. I would almost say that's almost like a less fruity Central Otago style wine. I think that's a very good start. Let's go on to number 2. Wine 2. A little bit, just has a touch more oak. You got some cherry type notes. Got like some strawberry rhubarb type flavor. A little bit of that hay note. When you're tasting Pinot Noir, it's not really always pleasure. Winemaker said the thing that's tough about Pinot Noir, it's work. It's not all about hedonism. You have to think about it. You have to think here. It does have some tannins. I would like a little bit more fruit concentration, but again, very nice wine. Let's move on to number 3. Once again, I knew what all these wines were because I brought them back. I just corvied them and had somebody mix them up for me. These were the wines I was most impressed with during my visits. Oh, 3 smells great. 3 has kind of like the sea breeze type note that I get from the wines of Santa Barbara County sometimes. Sea breeze, like cherry, a little bit of strawberry, just a touch of mineral notes. Again, I would like a little bit more fruit concentration here. The thing about wine, it's really a comparison game. Wine tastes different when you're at the Domaine. When you're at the Domaine, everything's great. You see the vineyards, the tasting room managers are hospitable. Then when you come back and taste them, they taste a little bit different. I'm not disappointed with these wines at all at any point. I just would like a touch more concentration here. They're still very solid. Let's move on to number 4. Wine number 4. I definitely get some cherry note. It's a little bit lighter. Cherry, it has a little bit of volatile acidity, which I like. Sometimes you get in Burgundy, sometimes you get in these Tuscan wines. All red wines want to turn to vinegar when they're in the barrel. Volatile acidity will go. That stuff that you smell in the vinegar smell, it's not super strong, but you get it a little bit more here, which I like. Just a touch of rusticity. I like it. That wine has a little character, a little twinkle in it, which I really am enjoying. Let's move on to wine number 5. I am liking this glass. Even though it's a smaller glass, I like it has a big base right here, so the balance is really good. So let's go on to number 5. And I think this would be great in high-end restaurants that have a big buy-the-glass program, because usually when you're pouring nicer wines, you're not pouring a ton because you want the aromas to come out. Wine number 5. I get a little of that cherry pie type flavor. Not candy, but just a little bit sweeter fruit. The white pepper comes through a little bit. You know what, these things, in a way, those Canadian Pinot Noirs kind of reminded me of stuff I would taste out of New Zealand. Maybe not as reductive, not as flinty, because you don't get a ton of earth flavors, but you do get pure fruit flavors. So pure cherry, maybe like a touch of mud, but not a ton. This is the one that's just fruity and straightforward, and that's not a bad thing. That's not the most complex in the bunch, but it's one that I really enjoy because it's just pure fruit. Let's move on to number 6. Number 6, also looking a tad darker. 6 kind of reminds me of an Oregon Pinot Noir. I get a lot of raspberry fruit notes. This does have some earthiness to it. This is quite complex. Earth, white pepper. As I swirl it in the glass, it opens up and evolves a lot more. That's the thing about Pinot. You really got to give it air, and Pinot changes a lot. Number 6, the length is really good. I really like that. That's really good. Let's move on to 7. 7 also has a little more power, a little more rusticity. I wonder if this is the Burgundy. It kind of pops out of the glass. I get some floral components, some perfume. Just a touch of rusticity. 7's good. Number 1 and number 7 so far are the most complex wines in the bunch. This is really good. Let's move on to 8. The Burgundy that I do have here, I have not tasted before. It's a great house. It's a negociant, also has some of its own vineyards. We sell it at my shop, so I picked one bottle up, and we'll see how it shows. I have a hunk, maybe 1 or 7 might be the Burgundy. Let's go to 8 here. 8 is pure strawberry rhubarb. Like the strawberry rhubarb pie. Gotta smell my hand. That's a little trick that kind of resets your palate if you feel like your palate's fatiguing. And Pinot is fatiguing because you gotta pick out so many nuances. If you smell your skin, it resets your nose. Strawberry rhubarb and earth. It's kind of like the stemminess to it. I really like the earthiness, the complexity, and the finish on that. That's good. Let's move on to the last one as I knock that over. 9 is also powerful. 9 has a little rusticity, has some dark cherry flavors. Dark cherry, fall leaves, pretty complex, some baked strawberry. I've got 3 wines here that really stood out amongst the rest, but I have some good quality wines. You ready for the reveal? If you want to hang out with me and other wine geeks, check out channel memberships. I have several tiers, but in the Grand Reserve tier, I do a monthly live hangout tasting where you can come up on screen. We just hang out, talk shop. There are perks for other levels and other tiers as well. And if you do join, it supports the work I do here. So thank you. Let me put the glasses back on. Okay, I do have some real bangers here. I'm excited to see if the Burgundy stood out. I think it could be one of the top 3 that really stood out for me. Again, I'm going to go from descending to ascending order. Very solid wine. Let's go with wines number 2 and 3 were very similar. Both gave 89 points. Let's go wine 2. Strawberry rhubarb hay had some cherry notes. It was really nice Pinot Noir. I just wanted a little bit more concentration and length. I still thought it was good. I gave it 89 points. Let's take a look and see what it is. This is one of the flagship producers here. This is the Clos Jordanne, Claystone, Terrace, Pinot Noir. The VQA is the 20-mile bench. By the way, VQA, the Vintners Qualities Association, that's like the American AVAs. These are the different regions. In Niagara, you have 2 main regional appellations, and you have 10 sub-VQAs. This is the 20-mile bench VQA. This comes in at $30. Single vineyard, 13.5 alcohol, but didn't feel like beastly. I thought it was good. I just wanted a touch more concentration, very solid. This wine is also owned by the Artera Group, which also owns Enniskillen. They sent me samples. They gave me the initial master class. This is the first time I'm tasting this wine, 2021, which is supposed to be a very solid vintage. For $30, this is available in the U.S. I think it's very interesting to show to people because it's Canadian Pinot Noir. It's high quality, more delicate, easy drinking. Like I said, I just want a little more concentration, but I still think it was very, very good. It doesn't help that over the last couple days, I drank a really high-quality, expensive Pinot Noir from Santa Barbara County, so the benchmark here is pretty high. I did not visit Clos Jordanne this time because they sent me a lot of samples, but hopefully I'll visit them because I am going to the Cool Climate Conference in Ontario in July, so I'm excited about that. Number 3... also had the sea breeze type notes, reminded me a little bit of Santa Barbara County, had strawberry flavors, did have long finish. Again, I went back and forth. Should I give it 89 plus, 89? Should I give it to 90? I'm trying to be a tad more critical lately. I gave it 89 points. I just wanted a little bit more from it. I still think it was very good. Let's take a look here and see what it is. One of more This is a producer that actually owns a Burgundy estate. This is the Tawse Tintern Road Vineyard. The VQA is the Vinemont Ridge. 2021 Pinot Noir. This comes in around $35 in the U.S. U.S. prices, not Canadian dollars. I know this is not made in every single vintage. Also, one of the OG producers. They also own Redstone, which I've had some of their ice wines before, which are outstanding. Tawse, I was impressed actually with their aged Chardonnay. When I visited, they opened some aged Chardonnays, which I was really impressed with. Very nice wine. Again, single vineyard. I just wanted a tad more concentration, but again, it's good. Like even these lower wines and fairly affordable, $35, the way that Pinot Noir is going. I think that's not a bad buy. Let's move on. Wine number 4. It had a touch of rusticity, which I liked, had some character, had some dimples, which I really got into. 90 plus points. Let's take a look here. 90 plus points. This is, here's again the blind tasting. When I was there, this was one of my favorite producers. This is the Bachelder. The Wismer Park Single Vineyard Pinot Noir 2022 VQA is 20-mile bench. This comes in at $45. Thomas Bachelder has worked in Burgundy. He's worked in Oregon. He only works with Gamay, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir and makes over 30 different single vineyard wines. When I had lunch with him, we opened 24 wines. Boom, 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 boom. I was tasting through really fast. Again, the touch of rusticity has that character, Burgundian, almost 90 plus points. Again, though, when I was not tasting blind, I was so enchanted by him because he's so knowledgeable. He's so passionate about showing that Niagara has terroir. And I thought it was outstanding, but didn't finish in the top. I mean, that's the power of blind tasting. That's super interesting. 90 plus points, 45 bucks. I still think it's very good. When you visit him or taste some of his wines, he makes so many single vineyards. It's hard to wrap your head around everything. He is really, really respected in the local wine community about being somebody that's passionate, wants to show off Niagara. His wines are really good. I actually brought a Chardonnay to my collector dinner 2 weeks ago, and I tasted blind, and I said, what do you guys think it is? There's a lot of Burgundy collectors in it. People thought it was very Burgundian. They opened it up, and they were like, where is this? Where can I get this wine? So it is a very good producer. Wonderful stuff. I'm going to start moving these in. Hold on, so we can get some of these all in the shot here. Number 5, I gave 91 points. I thought it was fruity, straightforward. You know, it wasn't as complex as some of these other wines, but I just liked the fruitiness and the straightforward of it. I gave it 91 points. That's where we're at here. This is a producer I was really impressed with. This is the Hidden Bench, the VQS Beamsville 2021 Pinot Noir. This is kind of like their standard Pinot Noir. This actually won a gold medal at Decanter. This comes in at 28 bucks. This is the first producer that I visited where I was impressed with their entire portfolio. Everything they did was really good, including some off-dry, medium-dry Rieslings. And at 28 bucks, I think that's an absolute steal if you want pure Pinot Noir flavors. Hidden Bench, I know, is, I think, the owner, if I remember right. He was in the film industry, so they like to create sets to blow up. Little known fact, I didn't realize that A Christmas Story, a lot of it was actually not shot in Cleveland. Some was shot in Toronto, and some was actually shot in Niagara, funny enough. 91 points, I think that was delicious. It showed well when I tasted at the estate, and when I'm tasting blind, it showed well too. Wow, the Bachelder and the Hidden Bench were probably my 2 favorite wines not blind. So let's see. Now I am really excited as we move through the lineup here. Number 8, strawberry, earthy, stemmy. I gave it 91 plus points. I thought the complexity was very, very good. 91 plus points. I like that. You know, that stemmy and earthiness stuff might be a bit much for some people, but I absolutely loved it. This is the Mason Vineyard, the Matriarch Pinot Noir 2022. This comes in at 50 bucks. Very small production. I actually had dinner with Kelly Mason. Wonderful woman that was actually trained under Bachelder. She makes Cabernet Franc, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and also some sparkling wines from a small vineyard. Makes like a couple thousand bottles a year, sells directly to her club. Even though she was sold out, she gave me a sample to taste. We had dinner at a fantastic restaurant called Treadwell, and I just really liked her philosophy, her approach, how passionate she was. And the Cabernet Franc, you'll actually see in an upcoming Cabernet Franc blind tasting video because I was impressed with that as well. And I thought this was very good. Again, 50 bucks, not cheap. But again, it stood up. This was showing really well. The Burgundy's still standing strong, man. Number 6 is next. Oregon style, long, complex, raspberry type flavors. This is the one that had the most raspberry. Just reminded me of a very good Oregon style Pinot Noir. I gave it 92 points. I thought it was very good. Let's see what it is. This is the Malivoire Small Lot Pinot Noir 2022. This comes in at 23 bucks. What a steal. Small Lot Pinot Noir. This is kind of like their entry-level Pinot Noir. Malivoire actually they were another producer where everything across the portfolio was not only good, but affordable. They specialize in Gamay. They even make some Melon de Bourgogne, which is very Cru Muscadet. I love the winemaker. Shiraz was a really happy, nice guy. They had the more expensive Pinot Noir. And I was going back and forth on which one I wanted to take for this video. I wanted to take this like basic $23 Pinot Noir. And look, it showed super, super well. Let me move all this stuff over here so we can get all the wines in the shot. Okay, I have the top 3 wines here. So the Burgundy is still standing, as well as 2 other wines. So Canada, could you beat out Burgundy? We'll see. Number 1, 92 plus points, strawberry, cherry, white pepper. I remember I said it kind of reminds me of a high quality Central Otago Pinot Noir from New Zealand. Those Pinot Noirs can be either really fruity and concentrated, or they can be fruity and concentrated with that streak of earthiness that us wine geeks crave about Pinot Noir. I gave it 92 plus points. I actually had a suspicion right from when we started that it might be the Burgundy because of the deep color. Let's take a look. 92 plus points. Is it Burgundy? Is it? It is. This is the Domaine Faiveley Mercury Vignes 2022. This comes in at 40 bucks. Domaine Faiveley, great house, makes some outstanding wines. Mercury is a village in the Côte Chalonnaise, which is more in the south. The reds of Mercury are known to be a little bit better than some of the other red wines coming out of the Côte Chalonnaise, which offers great value for money in terms of Burgundy. I'm pretty shocked there. A lot of people criticize Mercury for wines just being too new worldy and too fruity, which I picked out. But this did have some of those earthy white pepper and some nuanced notes. But it didn't come out on top. My goodness. 39 bucks. I thought this was outstanding. 2022, 92 plus points. And it's a baby. 2022, this still has a long way to go. So look at Canada is going to pull out an upset. My goodness. Let's see the final two. Number 9, Fall Leaves Complex Dark Cherry, and it had length. I loved it, loved it, loved it. The length really is what really got to me. It was a little darker fruit. I thought 9 or 1 was the Burgundy. Obviously, we see what the Burgundy is. 93 points. Let's take a look here. This is the Domaine Queylus Tradition Pinot Noir 2020. This comes in at 25 bucks. Kelly Mason actually makes the wines at Domaine Queylus. It's owned by several different people. I think they're mostly from Quebec. I thought, again, they had a reserve Pinot Noir in the Tradition. This is like their entry level, which I thought is better. In Pinot Noir, a lot of times, especially when you go to Burgundy, I like some of the village level stuff. Or when you go in the New World, I like some of their standard estate bottle stuff because you can blend a bunch of fruit from different vineyards to make the best wine possible, like we see here. And at 23 bucks, I thought that was really darn good. I am super impressed. It was close to my favorite, number 7. Number 7, I don't think will be the favorite for everybody. This has a touch of rusticity to it. It's earthy. The length is what's really separated. Wasn't the most fruity, kind of more of a savory Pinot Noir, but I went crazy over it, and I can't even remember what I have left here. 93 plus points. Let's take a look. 93 plus points. This is this is the Cave Spring Pinot Noir Estate 2021. This comes in at 25 bucks. So funny because when I visit Cave Springs, they specialize in Riesling, one of the OGs down there. And I like some of the Rieslings. There were one estate where I liked the philosophy. I did not like the quality of all the wines. I feel like they should have been better in a lot of respects, but I was impressed when I tasted this Pinot Noir, and I am shocked that it's 93 plus points. It showed so well in this blind tasting. That's shocking. So tell me, have you ever tried Canadian wine before? What do you think about the possibility of great Pinot Noir in Canada? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop it in the comments below.